Hello there, this is another episode of Weekly Waypoint, and today it's a pretty big one because I'm going to be talking about my brand new Xbox Series S and my thoughts on it and my impressions. It's going to be great. I'll get to just why we're playing Bejeweled 3 in a moment, but it does tie into the Xbox thing in a weird way. So yeah, as I've talked about before on the show, I eventually opted to do the Xbox All Access £20 a month thing, which gives me an Xbox Series S and a Game Pass Ultimate for 2 years, and so far, after the first week, I can say I'm extremely happy with my choice. I've gone back and forth a lot over the last few months as to why people give the PlayStation Now service so much shit, when it's basically a cheaper Game Pass but with like way more games in it. Like I think they've got about 700 games, and I know that people's first impression is, well yeah, but it's all streaming, when that's not the case. You can download all of the PS4 ones, and the streaming isn't even that bad, if I dare say so myself, from my personal connection anyway. And I do still think that PlayStation Now gets shat on a little bit more than it should. I mean, I bought a year of it for 35 quid, for God's sake. But now that I've had a week with Game Pass and I've kind of been comparing the two, I think it's down to the quality of the games that they have. Not Xbox, PlayStation Now definitely has some pretty major games in it, but they only have them for a limited amount of time. And when they have Final Fantasy 15 for 6 months, that's great for people who play one game at a time. I'm not one of those people, and I think a lot of people are also not those kind of people. Meanwhile, you boot up Game Pass and they've got so many like major, awesome, important titles on there, and they're not guaranteed to stay forever. Some games do leave the service, but I don't know, there's just something about it. And I don't think it's just the marketing, as I did before. The only game I owned on the Xbox at the start of a week was Forza Horizon 4, which has been optimized for Series X and S, so basically it's a next-gen version of that game. And I did end up buying Assassin's Creed Valhalla as well, even though it's 60 quid, mostly because I wanted to have kind of like a quote-unquote launch title, you know, like Forza Horizon 4 has been optimized for Series X and S, but like it's also a game I've played a lot before and I love it, and it runs amazingly on the X and S, and yeah, there's that. But at the same time, it's like, man, the one thing that this entire experience is missing right now is a brand new like AAA game to really show off what it can do, that was made for the console to begin with. And I'll have thoughts on Assassin's Creed Valhalla at some point in the future, but that's a really fucking good game. But yeah, so far with the Series S, the console itself, my thoughts on that, I guess. I guess I'll start with like the downsides, and that's that it's got not much memory after all is said and done. It's got about 364 gigabytes after, like, they market it as 512 gigabytes, but the operating system takes up like a third of it, which is not great. I wonder if they're gonna try and shrink that in the future by optimizing it. I hope that they do. Another downside, which is a pretty major one for me personally, is that it's not a great console for creators. Given that this is the next generation of consoles and what the PS4 can do, I just assumed, well, actually I tried to look it up but I couldn't find it anywhere before purchase, so I just kind of caved in and went, well, I guess the reason no one's talking about it is because it's kind of an obvious thing. So I kind of assumed that this would grant you the capability to record from your console, and it does. But for some reason, Microsoft are like, no, we don't think you want to use your microphone when you record clips. I'm like, what? Like, no, that's not a thing people do. And I looked up, and their official advice on that, at least for the Xbox One, where it was apparently the same, is, yeah, you should probably just buy an Elgato if you want to do that kind of thing. And it's like, well, that's kind of lame when it has the functionality within the console. Like, I can stream from the Twitch app and it uses my microphone, you know, like that's a thing I can do. I assume it wouldn't be that difficult to just press a button and let people share clips that have their microphone audio in. Just make it an option to turn on or off. Like, you can have it default set to off if you like if that's what you're worried about. So yeah, there's that, and kind of dishearteningly as well, the DVR itself isn't even that great. Anyone who's followed me on Twitter and has seen them will notice that the clips that I've been taking of Assassin's Creed Valhalla sometimes just don't have game audio in them, or it has desynchronized game audio in them, so it has audio in it from like 30 seconds before I took the clip. But I think you can probably chalk that up to like launch problems, and maybe they'll fix that in a software update in the future. I hope so. But yeah, if I want to make creative content from my Xbox Series S, I basically have to do it by streaming. So you'll probably see me doing a lot more streams in future, but that's going to be like a kind of a chill stream. But even that is kind of clunky, because what you have to do is go into the app, start streaming, and then like go back into your game and just kind of hope it works, because sometimes it just doesn't work. So that's another interesting one. So it's kind of a shame. It's forced me to make some decisions about like the games I'm playing and where, because for instance, I could play the brand new Destiny expansion through Game Pass on my console, but then I wouldn't be able to record any of it. Like, I wouldn't be able to do, you know, Destiny 2 shenanigans like I've been doing for the last couple of years, and I love doing those. And it's not on Game Pass for PC yet for some reason. I'm assuming some sort of deal with Steam was made. That means that can't happen yet. I know it's coming in the future, and I might just wait for that. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But you know what? That's only a small little fly in the ointment, because those are my two like criticisms, my nitpicks. But everything else is fucking fantastic. I'll admit I've had a few crashes. Once when it tried to quick resume a game, the console crashed completely. Once when it was loading in, it was doing the introduction cinematic for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the game crashed, but I think that's probably because of issues where it was installing at the same time as playing, I'm not sure, even though that shouldn't really happen. And then also it has crashed a few other times. Once or twice the console has completely crashed on me, but you know, I just feel like I should throw that out there. Other than that, it's been a dream. Like, playing Forza Horizon 4 at 60 frames a second 1080p is like, I know some people like, oh, 1080p. Me personally, I don't understand I don't think there even is a craze about 4K gaming. I think people are just doing it because they think it's the next default step up. But unless you've got a massive TV, I don't think it matters playing in 4K. But yeah, I'm not even playing in 1080p. I'm playing in like 1440p or whatever the midway point is. They've decided to do that with the Series S. Although saying that, I think I am on a 1080p monitor, so ignore what I just said. But yeah, playing through that, because I have that on PC, but like, it just stutters like every few minutes. It goes through a massive lag spike, and just playing it smoothly, I'm basically looking at the Series S as kind of like a PC upgrade, rather than like a new console by itself, because I will be the first person to say that the PlayStation 5 is probably the better console to get for games, like for new games. The Xbox Series S and X, I never know which way to say that, they don't have many new titles at all, but it's a fantastic machine for firstly, if you have a lot of digitally bought Microsoft Store games anyway, they'll all be there, or at least the Xbox side ones will, or multi-platform ones as well. But like, if you want a Game Pass machine, if you just want a machine that can run games really fucking well, and then you also have access to loads of really good fucking games, then this is the machine for you. I've been having an absolute grand old time. This isn't even a complete list, but so far I've dabbled in Cluster Truck, Bejeweled Free. I know, by the way, that's why we're doing Bejeweled Free today, is because I kind of downloaded it as a joke and then I got really addicted to it, and now I'm trying to get all the achievements in it. It Lurks Below, Descenders, Tetris Effect, more recently Burnout Paradise Remastered, because they brought the EA Play stuff over, Ori and the Blind Forest, which I streamed a little bit of, Fable Anniversary, which I'm really enjoying finally playing through, and Crackdown 3, which I started on PC, but again I'm now enjoying on a much more reliable system, and it's a really fucking good game when it's not lagging all the time, it turns out. People kind of panned it like critically, but I'm really enjoying my time with it. So yeah, to summarise, I have absolutely no regrets about this 2-year plan I've entered into for this Xbox Series S. I think it's a fantastic little machine, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to just have like an all-in-one Game Pass kind of a system, and like, also, if I have the spare money, to be able to play brand new like AAA titles without having to worry about performance. Like, it's great, it's awesome, I love it. There's still so many games that I want to play, and all of that. Oh, I also forgot to mention one of my favourite things that the Series S does, which is like a very small thing, is in the bottom left of the screen on your games page, it has a little progress bar to show you how much of your hard drive has been taken up, or sorry, solid state drive has been taken up. And the second you start installing a game, it adds the entirety of that game's file size to that circle, so you immediately know where you are. And as someone who's been subject to managing files on a PlayStation 4 in the past. It's a very welcome nice little touch. And by the way, Ultimate still gives me Game Pass on PC, so I can still do lots of clips of games on there. I'm going to download Celeste later. And then I've also got the xCloud to mobile app thing that I haven't tried yet. And also I get games with gold, so it's a pretty good package. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.